You know, I've been really feeling those winter blues this year round, and I don't even know exactly what it is that's got me so down. I guess it's just kind of a mix of everything. The days are too short, it's too damn cold to even go outside half of the time. I even had to quit my job recently. After they told me they were going to fire me, I just felt like I couldn't work there after that. The new Kendrick Lamar album was way too mean on white people, and so now, here we are. It's all just too damn much for me right now. I just wish I could stop all the clocks for a little while and do nothing ever again forever. Even getting out of bed has been a lot tougher than usual on me recently. I'm just after spending the week there without really leaving my bed for much. Spent all of yesterday in bed just sort of eating guacamole all day. And yeah, I'm a lazy dude or whatever, but that, even for me, that felt like I was taking things too far. Obviously the day didn't start off that way, alright? I'm not a bloody psychopath. It started with me finding a half-empty packet of Doritos in my room, as well as a whole bowl of guac in the fridge. And so of course I brought them up to my room to be able to enjoy them properly. But then in no time all the Doritos were gone and I was left with what was still pretty much an entire bowl of guacamole. So naturally I started finger dipping into the bowl. But before I even knew it, half a day had gone by. And what had started out as nothing more than just some innocent finger dipping had escalated itself into more of a scoop, well, like more of like a shoveling motion, to be honest. And that's how I spent my day yesterday. But that's besides the point. You know, personally, I have a real problem with how quick people are to go to a therapist with their problems nowadays. It's become almost a universal thing for relatively normal people to have a therapist to vent to about their normal people problems. And it's gotten to a stage now where there's pretty much just a full-blown culture forming around it. Therapy doesn't even have to stop for you anymore. Add a once-a-week, hour-long conversation to solve all your problems. Now that you've got therapy TikToks, therapy chatbots, therapy dogs to get you through your day, at this stage you can go your whole damn life in a constant state of therapy. And some people do. Some people go to therapy for anything really, just to be able to get some feel good, no shit, stupid advice on the matter by someone in a suit. I feel like I can't even walk down the road without hearing someone too loud on their phone talking about how, you know, my therapist said it's important to keep an open mind. You know, my doctor told me I should start trying new things. Live, laugh, love. And I live by that now. Therapy has taught me that it's okay to spoil myself. At this stage, we live in a world where you can never shut the fuck up, spill your guts about everything that bothers you constantly, and act shocked when someone doesn't give a shit. But isn't that weird? Is that just me? I just don't get why it's became so normal to let somebody else know how secretly crazy you actually are. And you know, I say all this, but listen, it's not like I'm against therapy as a thing, like all of therapy as a whole per se, because there's a lot of reasons why someone would go to therapy. So obviously, yeah, there's a handful of decent situations in which I feel that therapy could really help somebody, sure, but those handful of situations are and only are family tragedies, the voice is getting too loud, not getting out of bed for 2 weeks, being in love with your therapist, or a full-blown guacamole overdose. You know, it's fine to dabble, but some people really just don't know their limits. But still, some fellas will bother their therapist ranting on about their childhood bullies and shit like that, as though it's not too late to fix that problem, as though they shouldn't have stopped crying over that a good 20 years ago. I mean, seriously, I feel like if your problems are ones that can be solved by any amount of drugs, pussy, and money, well then you already have yourself a solution. The hell do you need a therapist for? I wouldn't have half as much reason to go stressing and venting to a therapist if I had enough money to go wasting it on things like therapy in the first place. I mean, my grandma, for example, she practically just shoots the shit with some priest for 5 minutes every week, and that seems to do the trick just fine. She's been doing that her whole life, I guess, and she's doing absolutely A-okay. She's doing alright, I think. Well, she is about 80-something. I'm not sure how alright you can be doing in 80-something. That aside, though, I mean, she's made it to 80-something, which is impressive. I mean, that's not for everyone, so that counts for something. Hell, not to mention the fact that I've met plenty of college students over the years studying psychology, all with the dream of one day becoming a therapist, all hoping to someday be able to sit you down and fix your life in an hour's time. Now, I've met tons of psych majors. Not one of them a normal damn person, though. I'm not joking, they all just seem to be weird as fuck. At least in my personal experience, a psych major has never been the kind of person that you want to take your life advice from. I'd never trust any of the psych majors I've ever met to fix me up, no matter how many of the 4 areas of the brain they've learnt off in school. And yeah, sure, they'll always try and tell you how they decided to pursue psychology, because they all just really can't wait to help the children or befriend a serial killer or whatever. But I don't know. The more you talk to psychology majors, the more that you realize that most therapists probably only became therapists because they wanted to fix their own brain by reading about it enough. And at this stage, I'm convinced that's the only reason why. See, here's the thing, right? Because if Yoda or Gandhi or Master Roku or someone like that was to go out handing life advice, I'm sure I could definitely find an hour in my week for someone like that. But why out of all the people out there would I bother to go to some 30-year-old retired emo girl to talk about my existential dread and masturbation habits, as though that's really the person who holds the solutions towards fixing any of that shit. And still, it's not like the key to happiness is a few hour-long sessions and a few $1,000s to turn that frown upside down over the course of a couple weeks, now is it? I'm not sure if something like therapy can make anyone all that happy, to be honest. Is therapy something that can make certain people want to murder less? Yeah, probably. But that's not why most people go to therapy. Most of the time, therapy is just used as an unresolved childhood issues complaint department. I'm not sure if it can make an average person all that happy. What I am sure about though is more than anything, it can definitely change people. I feel like if your brain isn't goosed in the first place, well, the most value that a majority of people are gonna get out of something like having a dude in a suit sit there and listen to you and sympathize with you, no matter what you say for payment, isn't quite some life-saving change in mentality or anything like that, but just about a cocky level of reassurance and the ability to pretend like your pathetic little existence stands for much at all as you whine on a rock spinning round and round a hot ball of gas, all on its journey towards nothing. I mean, some people come out the other end of therapy like it was all just one bad LSD trip, growing out a ponytail, dressing like a zen ass hobo, telling you again and again just how much their life has changed and how much happier they are now, when all you see is the same old chump with a psycho smile plastered on his face. To me, the real danger in going to something like therapy is starting to act all lucky-go-happy about shit and friendly and positive in the first place, when that mentality isn't real. It's just not natural, given the probability of your circumstances, so you're really only just disillusioning yourself, ironically making you seem a little crazier in the process. That can fuck people up, man. That is way too much risk for me. I hate people like that. Hippies. But then if most people going to therapy aren't necessarily kids who see ghosts, if it's mostly just relatively normal people made a little bit miserable by too little personality and too much of mommy issues, and if most therapists aren't necessarily Yoda when it comes to wisdom, so then where does that leave therapy? What really is the point to that? Because it seems to me an awful lot like an hour's rant you could just have with a pal. I know how a lot of people like to joke and talk about how dumb the whole emotional support animal thing is, and I know it's fun to poke fun and harass and beat up people over stuff like that. I mean, it is a bit crazy for someone with working vision and not Wall-E levels of autism to be walking around grocery stores and cafes with an emotional support animal like an absolute villain, German the place up. But in all fairness, I feel like a dog is as much therapy as most people really need. Or any pet, to be honest, a fucking therapy gerbil for all I care. Just in general, something that'll care about you that you don't have to pay by the hour in return. Because I hate to break it to you, but if you have to pay for someone's friendship, well, then that's not really your friend. And again, I'm not saying that nobody never needs any therapy, because some of you boners most definitely do. But in my professional opinion, that's only when you have nowhere else to go first. I mean, it's one of those things you're supposed to be a little ashamed about. Only when you're shit out of luck and just don't know what to do with yourself. A sticky situation where you can't just fix it yourself because you're too dumb to know how. Like, only when you're desperate and you cannot fathom a single other solution to your problems do I think that therapy is all that worth it. I guess it's supposed to be somewhere you turn when you have nowhere else to go. I guess that's kind of the point of therapy in the first place. And going to that shit all willy-nilly when you don't actually need to, it sort of defeats the purpose. What are you really getting out of that? So to all the haters out there saying that I should probably go to therapy and how I might benefit from it and all that kind of stuff, grandma, it's not like I have voices in my head telling me to stay in bed all day eating guacamole or Slenderman's gonna get me or anything like that. So I'm fine, because all my problems are way dumber than that, really. So when you think about it, what's therapy ever gonna do for someone like me? Not much, probably. And yeah, maybe I have my own way of living that might be a little bit unique. And maybe it's not perfect, but then again, I mean, only Yoda could make it actually perfect. And to be honest, I could only ever imagine therapy going one of two ways for someone like me. And at that stage, I thought it must be all over once the vomiting had stopped, but my shit was still green for like 3 days afterwards. Plus I'm broke. Wait, what? How are you gonna pay for the session? Well, I was kind of hoping in guacamole, but then I ate it all. Haven't you been listening to anything I've been saying? Okay, get the fuck out of my office. Yeah, okay. Or more probably. And at that stage, I thought it must be all over once the vomiting had stopped, but my shit was still green for like 3 days afterwards. Get the fuck out of my office. Yeah, okay. All I've really been trying to say with this video is that if you're a normal dude, like me, and you haven't been through a divorce in the past 6 months, or just looking for some legal Xanax, then maybe it's just a little bit better and a hell of a lot cheaper to talk to your friends about it instead. Hell, a hooker will listen to all your problems and even blow you afterwards for half the damn price. You know, I've been...